everyone, welcome to the Cultivate Your Life podcast, where we're nourishing our minds through cultivating conversation. Welcome to the new episode. First, before we go ahead and jump into everything, if you have not already, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share so you do not miss an episode. New episodes are uploaded every Saturday. So I am recording this on a Thursday, so I want to go ahead and say Happy Thirsty Thursday. So I am going to go ahead and jump right into this episode because I am excited and I am a little nervous. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So, I open this platform to everyone who can come with their ideas, come with their suggestions, come with their comments. And I have a special guest. This is Baba Mos. Hey, Baba Mos.
Hi, Lisa. How you doing? Thank you
I
for
am
having me
good.
on.
Of course. So let me give you guys a little background story on my guest today. So he kind of slid into my DMs talking about, he's seen the episode. I think it was the natural hair episode, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he brought this topic to me that, he was like, I should discuss on the pod. And as we keep getting into the conversation, I was kind of like, well, why don't you come on the pod and we can have this conversation? So, do you want to tell them where you're joining from? You don't have to.
Oh, well, I'm from the East Coast, and like yourself, I am very nervous because this is a controversial topic, and to be honest, I didn't expect you to respond to my DMs or invite me to the show, so this is crazy. But hey, I'm gonna rock with it
All
because
right, let's do it.
I like your topics, and this is the way it is now. People have the right to express their opinions and their ideas, and thank you for people like you who are not afraid to open up your platform to people like me.
Of
So
course.
yeah, thank you.
Of
So
course.
I'm from the East Coast. I'm not going to tell you which part. I'll just say from the East Coast,
Okay.
and I'm a Generation Xer, and I am a Black person in America with Caribbean heritage, like yourself. What island are you from?
I'm from the Virgin Islands, St. Croix to be exact.
Oh, you're from the VI. Okay.
VI. Yep.
So my people hail from Montserrat and St. Thomas as well, but really Tatola. But
Okay.
anyway, that's a long story. We're spread all over the place as island people. But anyway, so that's pretty much my background. So I'm a Black person with experience. I am a professional. I don't want to tell you what I do, but I work. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for
So
having
just,
me.
oh, of course, of course. So we are not going to put him on camera. That was his decision, and I am so for it. As long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. You ready to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, perfect. So the name, oh, well, not the name. The topic we're going to be talking about is the audacity of Black people. And this was a topic that you brought to me. So I don't have any background to say on the topic, so I'm going to let you go ahead and you can start wherever you like and say whatever you like. I am going to do a disclaimer. If the conversation does get heated, it's all still respect. I respect your viewpoints, and I know you respect my viewpoints. And we're just gonna have a conversation. If it gets heated, it gets heated. It is what it is. I really don't
Hmm.
give a shit, and I know you
Right.
don't give a shit from the conversations that we've had. That's why I was like, you were perfect to bring on the pod to have this discussion. So I am gonna turn this over to you, and go for it.
All right. So, as a Black person in America, recently, and oh, Lisa, I gotta quantify it. Oh, I'm sorry, qualify it. I am referring to Black people who come from this side of the hemisphere. So that includes Black people that were born in America, Black people that were born in the Caribbean, Black people that were born in Central America, my Panamanian brothers and sisters, my Honduras, Nicaragua, and of course, South America. So if you were brought over here many, many hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about us. Okay. So does that qualify it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it does. Yeah. Did you say
Okay.
are you talking about the Caribbean too?
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
oh, okay, okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They
we're
were
talking
the
about all
second
of us.
ones. They were the
Oh, they were
second
the
ones
second
on the
one. Oh,
list.
I missed that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. Let's
All right.
okay.
So here's my thesis. Here's my premise. And I have a couple of talking points. And like you said, we're going to have a conversation. But I think that Black people have a problem with hypocrisy. And just for your listening audiences, I took the time to get a definition from a standard dictionary on what hypocrisy is. And a definition is that hypocrisy is a situation in which someone believes something that they do not believe or doing the opposite of what they do or say and or at another time. So basically it's one rule for you and another rule for someone else. Is that your understanding of hypocrisy?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool,
my
cool, cool.
understanding.
Okay. So I think that Black people, our people, we really have a problem with being hypocrites. We preach one thing and we say another, or we say we for something and uh, our behaviors show a different side. And it's just really getting tiresome because, I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about the younger generations. And, I'm going to get into my next point about stereotypes. You know what YNs are?
Young niggas.
Okay, can we curse on your podcast?
Of course you can. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Just keep it.
well, because I have cursed on my podcast. Yes.
Okay,
So
I don't want you
it's
to
totally
be.
free. No, no, no. You are free to use whatever verbiage you want. Um,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
I
I
got it.
don't like I don't want to offend any set of culture of people or
Hmm.
lifestyle of people.
Hmm.
But I am all for free expression. So yes, you can curse. So YN means
Okay.
young niggas.
Okay, gotcha. Do you think, Lisa, that that's a stereotype or
Young
an
niggas.
actuality? Yeah, exactly. YNs. Let's call them YNs.
YN.
A 12-year-old might be listening to this,
Oh no,
and we
I
don't want
block.
to
I know I
influence them.
block my podcast that is not for kids to view, so
Oh,
they can't
okay, the
find
YNs, the young niggas. Yes.
it.
So, do you
um,
think that's a stereotype, or do you think that's real?
so I view YN, well, young niggas, as this slang that came about. I don't know when. I think I just like recently. It was to me. I feel like it wasn't here all the time. So I feel
No.
like it was just a slang that just came about, and it just refers to young people, and I and that's what I think it as. I don't know if it's like a stereotype, but
Hmm.
anyone. I guess I would say me and my age, if I would have to like jokingly in a conversation and there would be somebody like in their 20s, I would be like, oh, that's a young nigga, like
Hmm.
as a joke. I don't know where the stereotype would come in. I don't know where
Right.
you're getting at with that.
Right. So when I think of YNs, I think of maybe a black male ages 18 to 30. They usually wear a sagging attire, maybe a hoodie, Jordans, dreads, that type of thing.
Oh, so you associate a whole entire look with it.
Yeah, part of
Okay,
it,
so
as well as behaviors.
I don't associate a look or behavior with that slang. I
Hmm.
just feel it's just a slang that, as you know, we older folks, as we like, it just came about that we just refer to them as, young people,
Hmm.
YNs.
Well, according to, I don't know, your footprint on social media, YNs in some capacities could be derogatory. And going back to the stereotypes, just because you see a young person dressing, with a hoodie or Jordans, that doesn't mean that he or she is a YN too. So sometimes stereotypes can be offensive and, overreaching, but then sometimes stereotypes are true. And, black people, we have a lot of stereotypes. And for years, throughout my life, I spent time trying to defeat these stereotypes. But in actuality, there's nothing I can do because I think this is part of the culture, which leads to the hypocrisy because sometimes we don't admit it. So I know we're talking in vague terms, and, Lisa, I thank you for being patient with me,
Of
but I have some
course.
talking points, and, it's going to get right into the meat of it. If you want me to start, I could do that.
Uh, yeah. Well, before you start, I kind of wanna um go back to like a little bit what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, we're on social media because I am on social media, and
Mm-hmm.
I do listen to other outlets like other pods, and they do talk about YNs, but I don't see they're associating it with the type of look. So
Mm-hmm.
give me an instance where, like you said, like give me an instance where you feel that it's associated with a look. That's where you get that interpretation that it is with a look.
So on X, formerly known as Twitter,
Oh, of course, I know that shit.
well, if you were on X, that's how when you see videos of teen takeovers or crash out videos. You're familiar with crash out, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and anytime you see that type of media, if it's a young black person, he or she is identified as a YN and
Okay.
other derogatory terms as well.
So, who is the owner of X?
Elon Musk.
And I'm gonna leave it right there. Go ahead with your talking points.
All righty. Point number one. Black people hate black stereotypes. And give me another black stereotype, Lisa.
Ugh, why you putting me on the spot?
Well, it's it's a conversation. I'll
uh,
give you one. I'll give you one. Black people are violent and so aggressive, or black people are ratchet. Black females are ratchet.
or the
You know,
angry black woman
or
stereotype.
the angry black woman stereotype,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. So black people, we hate black stereotypes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But promote them and celebrate the same toxic behavior.
Give me an example.
Okay. I know that you have seen videos of black people crashing out at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And although, we might say, hey, that's probably not appropriate. If you look at the comments, and not all, I know it appears that I'm generalizing, but I'm just putting some examples. You might see people saying, yeah, you go, girl, and shit, if I was there, I'd do the same thing, or other things validating that type of behavior.
Okay, I understand that aspect. Because you go in the comments and people do, unfortunately, encourage the inappropriate behaviors.
Hmm.
But sometimes I do feel like those stereotypes. Sometimes in that situation,
Hmm.
people act out of emotion. It's not necessarily a stereotype that is associated with it. There's some white people. You see some white people. They be crashing out on the airports if they missed their flight or they lost their bags too. So why is it okay for them to do that, but it's not okay for black people to have emotional moments? I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying, why is it that way?
Well, to answer your question, if we don't want to be perceived as angry, emotional, quick to fly off the handle, and you're right, there's other ethnicities I would imagine that does the same thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're worried about just our ethnicity, and I'm not going to say we do it more, but when we do it, this is just my opinion, boy, motherfuckers get out cameras, the police are called, shit. we might be talking about it for whatever. And I hear what you're saying, Lisa. Some things might be justified, but at the same time, if that's not what we want to perceive, why do we celebrate it? So, an example that I have is, remember in 2023, around August, the big fight that happened at it was like a, a river port or
Oh,
something.
that river port that
Yes,
when they had like beat those white people ass.
yes.
Yes, I remember that. That went
Okay.
viral. I
Uh,
remember
all
that.
right.
Yes.
All right. Now, of course, we wasn't in the situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. I'm likely to crash out my damn self. But the point is that we celebrated these people like heroes. Like, people were making TikToks all day long. And I know that's the culture, that's a whole nother topic. But just like, wow, guys, this is not it. This is not a good look. What are we doing here?
Okay,
Uh
so
huh.
hang
I
on.
have
So
another
before,
example.
okay, go ahead with your other example. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the in Atlanta, the strippers that were twerking in Lululemon. Did you hear about
Oh
that?
yes.
Okay. Now, I'm saying now, yes, there's nothing wrong with being an exotic dancer or an adult entertainer. That is a noble profession. It ain't hurting nobody. And as long as adults are involved, I'm all with it.
Hmm.
But, honey, if you don't want to give the impression that black women are ratchet and over sexualized, what, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, you go. What's your point, Lisa?
So I understand where you're coming from, but it almost sounds like we should not show our emotions, not react to certain things because of the stereotype that who really put the stereotype in place? It wasn't black people that did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why should we then kind of make ourselves smaller in a box and don't have emotions, don't have a reaction to certain things because of we want to change the stereotype. Let's be for real. In my opinion, we're never going to change no fucking stereotype
Oh my
because
God, that's
of
horrible, Lisa.
we're not.
Jesus.
We're not. If you look at what this country was built on, it's not. It's not. They're always going to look at us as that. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I do feel like in some situations, like the incident that happened on the boat, that
Mm-hmm.
boat,
Mm-hmm.
I am for it. Beat their asses. Yes, I am for it. I don't give a fuck who recorded it. That's what needed to be done. With the girls in Lululemon now twerking, that's different. I'm like, come on. So I think that there's certain aspects where that like you want to be different than the stereotype goes right out the window because we are humans too. We
Mm-hmm.
feel and we react too. We are entitled to do the same shit. So if it was in the river, let's flip it. And if it was a set of black people and some white person beat their asses, then it's okay for the white people them to do that because that's what they've been doing since the beginning of times with like beating black people, doing slavery and all of that. So no, I feel like in some situations, the stereotype, fuck that shit. You have to react because we're all humans. We have emotions. We feel the same way too.
Lisa, are you saying that there's only one way that black people can react or show emotion?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying because we're humans and when you're in certain situations, right? You don't necessarily think. Sometimes we act on emotions. And I'm not saying that it's right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's understandable if you're reacting off of emotions because white people do it too. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean, Lisa, that's not my argument. We know that all ethnicities does it. But I think with other ethnicities, they don't celebrate when they do it.
So
They don't.
you're upset because we celebrate and how because we celebrate it.
Yes, yes, that's what upsets me. We glorify it. We
But white people
validate
do
it.
the same thing too.
No, 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 no.
Yes,
Well,
they do.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, Lisa, show me an example where you know there are some white so-called white trash. I don't want to be derogatory, but hell, we could curse here, so it's fine. Okay, can you give me an example where white people celebrate white trash behavior? Like, for example,
Oh,
um, oh, hold
I got
on,
an
let me
example.
clarify.
No, you don't need to. I got it.
Okay, go, go.
No, go ahead. I'm just messing with you. Go ahead and clarify it.
Right. So the clarification is, where do you see, like, white people in their media, in their music, in their movies, where they are glorifying white trash?
January 6th, the insurrection that happened on Capitol Hill, that was white trash. That was there. And they did glorify it on the same social media outlet that you are on, which is X. All well, but that's not the only thing. That's not the only media. I'm not on it, so I'm just gonna pick on it. But they glorified it. That's a perfect example right there. And that one outweighs every other example because that was against our government.
Well, I disagree respectfully, but that's another podcast for another day. I think if it was equivalent, we would see, and not just white culture, we would see Hispanic culture. Like, for example, Hispanic culture, they got this music called corridos, right?
I
Oh
never
my
heard of that.
God. It's some violent gangster music, but it sounds like folk music. So, but anyway, you don't see like the mainstream Mexicans, promoting corridos. Now don't get me wrong, they got YouTube channels and it's on Apple Music and all that stuff. But, it's like, okay, yeah, that's corridos, But hell, black people, congressional leaders would rap Little Dirk songs.
But that's different. That's entertainment.
Well, but it's glorifying something that is stereotypical and negative. And that's my point. We can't be like, oh no, we don't want to be recognized or looked like, violent people or, over sexualized people. But then at the same vein, using your words, we have to express ourselves. So this is us. That's my point. You ready for number two?
Wait. So, as a female, okay, so as a female, when you say we don't want to be viewed as we don't want to be over sexualized, right? I
Viewed
understand that,
as over sexualized.
right? And I
Hmm.
don't want that either.
Right.
But I be out, I be dancing, I be dressed in certain ways, whatever. So am I fitting into that stereotype?
If you No, no, you can dress how you want and do what you want. You're an adult, I hope. But you don't do that every day, I hope, right? Because you're a professional.
I
I
am a
mean,
professional.
yeah, you work and you know that when you go to work, you're not going to be dressing over sexually, right? But if you want to go out, are you single? I'm sorry, is that too personal? Wait a minute. Okay,
Yeah,
my bad. That was
they had an episode. Somebody put my business. I was like, people listening to this could think I'm a whole married woman. I doubt they
I,
think that.
I don't know. I
I highly
mean,
doubt they think that.
yeah, I'm just saying, listen, adults can do what they want. If we want to turn up, fine. We could do what we want to do. We are grown, we are adults. But I'm talking about how we are represented on a global scale. And
I
that's
feel
all.
like
What
you're
we
putting
doing?
us to a different. You're putting us on a different caliber, and you're holding us to a different standard, which we are to a different standard than other races. I do think but I feel like you're just making it seem like it's okay for other races to to act and react to certain things a certain way, but when we do it, then we have to fit in to the stereotype that we did not create for ourselves.
That is true. I would agree with you that we did not create these stereotypes, but why are we promoting them? If we didn't create them, we should create new stereotypes.
I don't think we're necessarily promoting them. I think a
Let's get
certain
to the
situation.
let's get to the other points. How much time do we have?
We have as much time as you want.
Oh, okay, all
We
right,
have as much time as you want.
okay.
Um, oh,
You want to go to number two?
I forgot what I was gonna say. So let's just go ahead and go to number two. Cause you
All
cut me
right.
off, so I
I'm
don't forget what
sorry.
I was going to say. No,
I'm
you
sorry. That's my
good.
bad. It's
No,
your
you
show.
good.
It's your show. Okay. All right. Number two. Demand and respect while at the same time being disrespectful. And this goes along the lines I think you were saying about our way of expressing. For example, customer service. Let's take it really easy, right? So I was out to dinner with my mom, and my mom's a baby boomer, right? So she thinks she can talk to waitress or wait staff any type of way. And I'm like, Mom, they're handling our food. You can't be demanding all that stuff. Well, listen, they supposed to need whatever, and they need to do this, and they should be doing this. And I'm like, wow, how you gonna be disrespectful and demand respect from other people, other strangers? So that's just one simple example. Do you think you know what I mean by that?
Oh yeah, I definitely know. I think respect goes both ways.
Right.
I agree with
Mhm.
that. The respect goes both ways. You respect me, I'm gonna respect you. You don't respect me, then I'm not gonna respect you. Period.
Right. Exactly. So when we all been around our people when they've been very rude or just unnecessary. It's like, why, brah? Why, sis? What? You get more, flies with honey. You know the saying. What are
Right.
you doing?
Right.
So yes. Okay. So we agree on one. All right. That's
All
what's
right.
up. All right. All right. Number three. All right. This is a deep one. And by the way, I have receipts for everything I say. So, I
Okay.
don't need.
Period. Come here with the receipts. I'm here for it.
Okay. Okay. Number three. Complaining about police brutality, but glorifying criminal behavior.
I'm gonna need another drink for this conversation. Ah! Okay. Elaborate. Go ahead.
All right. Are you aware of the recent acquittal of the three police officers in Ohio, I think?
No,
And the,
Tennessee.
was it Tennessee? Oh, yeah, Memphis. That's right. Yep, it
It's in
was
Tennessee.
Memphis.
It's Tennessee. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So they beat up the man, you know, and it was on video.
Mm-hmm.
And these cops got acquitted. And it's like, oh, wow. But here's the kicker: these cops were black. Did you hear about this? Yeah, you heard
Yeah,
about it because you
yeah. So
corrected
this
me.
incident happened in 2023. The incident you're referring to, for those
Hmm.
listening, it happened in 2023. It was Tyrese. I think his name is Tyrese Nichols. If I'm
Hmm.
wrong with the name, I apologize. He was a young guy that he was pulled over and assaulted for a wrongful lane change,
Right.
and these five cops that was in this well, not criminal organization, sorry, this squad
What?
called
Yes.
no, they were in this, I think it's called Scorpion Unit, um
Yes.
which has now been completely dismantled after that incident that happened. They beat him and he died. um
Hmm.
so now they are in court, and it is a civil, no, state, there's a state court,
Hmm.
um and they were acquitted. Go ahead
Yes.
with your points before I go ahead with mine.
Okay. So I think that if these officers were white and they were acquitted, first of all, not only would we have heard about it, there would be a revolution. There would be George Floyd 7.5. And I think, this goes back to the hypocrisy part. Like, wait a minute, you're against police brutality. We seen this man get murdered and, at night on camera. And, you guys complain about the justice system. And just because these guys were black, you're not saying anything? Where's Benjamin Crump? Where's Al Sharpton? What's going on? So yeah, that's another example of hypocrisy. What's your point?
Okay. So, um, Ben Crump is actually working with the family, and they were in a state court. They were actually charged on the federal level. They were
Mm-hmm.
convicted on the federal level. This was in the state, and they were not trial by a jury of their peers. They were actually trial by a set of white people whom do not live in the state of Tennessee. All these jurors were chosen out of state because of the level of this crime.
So what you trying to
So
say?
I feel like I understand what you're saying. I think because I really and honestly, it happened in 2023. It's always like cause so much has happened and there's simple little cases that I feel like sometimes unfortunately do fall through the cracks. So I do feel like there is probably going to be more that's going to come from it only because this acquittal just happened. Ben Crump is with the family. He is working with the family. They were charged on a federal level. So they are hoping, because they were convicted on the federal level, that they are going to do a substantial amount of time in prison. Because it was caught on tape and it was very unfortunate. I feel like in the climate that we're in, you know, let's look at the climate that we're in. Like, look at our administration. It is a Trump administration. So to get a jury of white people who are all for cops, because that's what this administration does stand behind. Yeah, I feel like it would have been different if they were trial by a jury of their peers, like it's supposed to be done. They don't look like none of them in the in the stand. These white people don't give a fuck. They don't give a damn about black on black crimes. That's just the truth. That's how I see it. I'm sorry for anybody else, but you can look the facts up. It was a jury that was brought in from out of state, and they were all white people that handled um, this trial. And I do feel it would have been a different outcome had it have been a jury of their a jury
Peers.
of their what's the word I'm looking
Peers.
for? Of their peers.
Peers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay. All
yes.
right. But okay, Lisa. So okay, we definitely don't agree on that. But could we
With
agree
okay,
that?
so wait, with the facts,
Hmm.
you don't see it as that either?
No, I'm saying that we don't agree that it would have been a different outcome. I think, you know, even if they were had a jury of their peers, which were black people will probably have acquitted them too. That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think so. I don't think so because even when the whole unit got completely dismantled, wasn't the chief of police a black woman?
I think I don't know, but I think
I'm
she
pretty.
was a woman.
To me, I remember because I remember watching the video. I remember following it. But like I said, again, unfortunately, it happened in 2023, and so many things have happened. I feel like sometimes we get so bombarded with everything that happened, and we almost get desensitized. Unfortunately, that sometimes some stuff do fall to the crack. Because I actually had almost forgot about this incident.
Until they
Um,
got acquitted.
well, until the whole trial came up, and then I remembered it because it's just so many things that has happened that goes like we don't receive justice for. Like one thing that really, 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 really up to today, like really stands, like really bothers me is the Breonna Taylor one. Is that her name, Breonna Taylor?
I guess I believe so.
Yeah, with
Mm.
the Brianna thing. That like I will forever remember that because I remember crying for that one. And like I'm with this video when I saw it, I shed some tears too. So I feel like sometimes it's just like time and so much thing happens in this climate that we live in. We almost, which unfortunately we get desensitized to some of the bullshit that happens.
You're absolutely right because these incidents are occurring more and more every day. But just I want to say on Breonna Taylor, and well, boy, you might want to get a bottle after this.
Okay,
But
I got you,
Breonna
girl.
Taylor, I think, is a great example of, complaining about police brutality but glorifying criminal behavior.
What criminal
No,
behavior happened with Breonna Taylor?
Breonna Taylor was involved with a lot of drug boys. She was caught on tape, on the prison recording stuff, talking stuff, and I have receipts. I could give you that
Wait,
information.
hold on.
Yes,
Who
yes.
gives a damn about how she lived her life when she was in her bed asleep and they killed her?
Well, do you think that? And I shouldn't talk about. I don't like talking about the dead, but that goes with associations, right? I mean, if I hang with a bunch of YNs, well, people are going to perceive that I'm a YN, even if I don't do YN, activity because people judge people. So yeah.
Regardless if I hang with who I hang with, that does
Hmm.
not mean that it could
That you should
justify
die.
I should
Yes,
die.
I
That's
agree with that.
bullshit.
I agree, but
So
shit
even if,
happens.
which I did not hear about her, because I know she was a EMT.
EMT, yes, yes.
Yes, a EMT.
Hmm.
She was in her bed sleeping, and
Yes.
her boyfriend, who was with her, has a legal document like he can carry legally.
Hmm.
So I don't feel like, regardless of how she lived, whatever she did in her life, whatever,
Hmm.
that does not justify some white cops coming in and shooting you in your fucking sleep.
Yeah, you're right, but shit happens, Lisa, and we got to be careful of who we associate with because shit like this can happen. All right, ready for number four?
Wait. So if my friends are some strippers, or
Mm-hmm.
there's some prostitutes, then I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
perceived as stripper and prostitutes.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Are you kidding me? Really? If all of your friends were strippers and prostitutes and you wasn't a prostitute, why wouldn't anyone perceive that you were what? Yeah, I would. I'm not. I mean, I know. I hope that you're not right. Okay, I know that you're not. But
That's being so fucking judgmental, and that's a
why?
problem. And that's the problem with this world. We always want to look at somebody and judge them instead of having a fucking conversation. Because
Well,
let's be for real,
mhm.
strippers do what they want to do, but there are some strippers that do it because that's what they gotta do.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying that a grown adult can't do what they want to do, but you're gonna be judged, and that's just the way it is.
And that's
And
why
that's
okay. Go on to the next point because I want to cuss you. Go on to the next point.
okay. All right. Number four,
Okay.
calling out other ethnicities when they are exploited, but at the same time exploit other black people. So what I'm trying to say is it's okay if I victimize you because, I'm just a black person and you're another black person. And like you said before, no one cares. But let a white person victimize you, let an Asian person victimize you or other ethnicity, and we're going to crash out.
Give me an example.
What? This okay, okay. All right. Um oh my god, they're so
Give me
really? I
an
got
example.
too many.
Yeah, I don't know. Cause you said like so we
So the easiest example, okay, the easiest example is every there we know that in urban cities in Chicago and wherever LA, wherever Dallas, wherever, we know someone is getting killed and it's usually a black victim and the perpetrator is another black person. Can we agree with that?
you do not need to say it like that.
Oh, okay, okay. But
Rephrase how you say. You make it seem like all this crime in the country is committed on black on
no,
black
I did
crimes.
not I did not say that. I
The
did
way
not
you
say
the
that.
way you just phrased that,
No,
that
no,
will
you
be
you
interpreted like that.
Well, I am sorry that you
Yeah.
perceived it that way, but
So maybe if that's not the way you intended it to, you should need to correct it
let me
because you
break it
intended it
down.
that way.
No, not at all. I never said anything like, black people do all the crime. That's
No,
crazy.
that's what you just said
Uh
was there are
huh.
crimes happening in Chicago and
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and wherever, and it's usually black people and black people committing these crimes. That's insinuating that. That's
No,
what
I
you
didn't.
just
Well,
said.
Lisa, I didn't say usually. Let me say it again.
Repeat
Okay,
it.
let's pick one city. In the city of Chicago, I know that yesterday and today there was a murder. A black person got murdered,
How you know that?
and
You live there?
I could look it up on AI, but that's
Oh
another thing. I mean, it's
gosh.
pretty accurate. We could get that information, but I digress. So we know this, right? And we know that it's more likely, we don't know for sure, but it's a 9 out of 10 chance that it's another black person that
Why it
victimized this
gotta be
black
so
person.
high?
Wh- Why? Because it's
But you
the
pick
urban
Chicago.
area. What?
But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you pick Chicago. So if you're
What?
picking Chicago, you pick Chicago. And if you're talking about in like the suburbs, don't have that.
Well, I'm not talking about the suburbs, Lisa. I'm just talking about black people victimizing other black people that we know goes on. That's all I'm saying. Now, here's my point. My
Okay.
point is, when another ethnicity victimizes a black person, black people stop what we're doing and we're going to pay attention to this other ethnicity victimizing us, but we're not going to pay attention, or not as much. God forbid, if it happens to us, then we'll pay attention. But if it doesn't happen to us, we're not going to pay attention. We don't care about that. But we care about when other ethnicities victimize us. Where's the lie?
I don't know. I need an example.
Lisa?
Because I feel like I don't do that, so I need an example.
So when the white boy, I think it was 2017, Dylan Roof or something, he shot up all of the black people in the church in South Carolina, and there was outrage, right? Oh my God! You remember.
I do.
Another example
They should
of,
have buried his ass under the jail. But yeah, I do.
okay, you just proved my point. Yes. All
How
right.
did I just prove your point?
You did you hear how you sound when I reminded you of the case? Bury him under the jail.
He went into a church
Mhm.
regardless if the people in the church was white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. He went into a church and shut up people.
Lisa, do you know how many mass shootings that black people do all the time?
What mass shootings we did?
OMG. I'll just send you the links. Okay.
Okay. No, no, no. Let's have this. Cause you know
There
what
are
is it?
there are
Okay, so
vid-
first, what is the definition of a mass shooting?
more than two people like getting
That
shot.
I don't think that's the definition of a mass. I thought it was more than five. But let me
Oh,
go.
oh,
Let me go
okay,
ahead and do my
okay.
research, aka
No, no.
Google.
No, I will use your definition. More than five. More than five. Okay. Th- Lisa, there are so many. All you need is a radio scanner, and just hook it up, and you could find out all of the shootings in real time. Th- this is the age of information. We could find this information out. I wouldn't lie to you. These things are happening, and I know you know these things are happening, right?
I'm doing my research, aka Google.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say about number four. Do you have anything you want to add?
I don't have to. Oh, let's go. Statistics of mass shooting by race.
Mm-hmm. I hope you're using Grok and not Chat GPT.
I'm not using GPT. I'm
Oh my god.
The first thing that comes up, white. White individuals are more often the perpetrators in mass shootings, followed by blacks, with Hispanic and Latinos individuals next in line. Specifically, white shooters account for a significant percentage, 38 to 52.3% of mass shootings, followed by black shooters are 29 to 20.9%. I don't know what you're laughing for, because I know mass shootings are in this country are predominantly committed by white people. I don't
We're
want to say
gonna.
white males because they had one incident that it was a female, right? The one of the school shooting was a female, a white female.
Mhm. Um. You know what? I'm gonna save that. Okay. All right. Okay. I disagree with those types of statistics. I think they're not as they are just descriptive. They're not inferential, if you know what I mean. It's just telling me numbers.
Baba, most move on to your next point, okay?
Yes, okay. Number 5. Saying black is beautiful, but copying European standards for beauty. And you already talked about this about
I was just about to say.
and all this other stuff, but
Are you coming off of one of
yeah, this is what
our
prompted
one
me
of our
to
so one of our
yeah.
listeners that if you guys don't remember, I did the episode with about natural hair,
Hmm.
and one of our guests, well, he wasn't a guest, he was one of somebody that gave his input
Oh, Burke
on the
Lover.
confirmation Burke Lover, yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I
And he
fucks with
said
Burke
something
Lover.
about um females. I'm gonna insert it right here about females wanting to look like, what did he call it? Negro Europeans. Oh, I can't remember the name he called it. I'm gonna insert the link. But yes, I get what you're saying. Burke Lover made the comment on that episode.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think you covered it, and I just don't understand what's wrong with our natural hair. And I don't want to get into this because
I get what you're saying, but I think it goes back on how it goes back on like social media and how society has done it. And I feel like when it comes to black women not embracing our natural beauty and our natural hair, sometimes, unfortunately, because of the climate that we live in and how everything has transpired over history, so you have to be kind of fortunate enough to be surrounded by people who can break that, almost like break that mental box that you're in, because that's what we were like, that's what we were brought to this country, and we were degraded, and black women especially, was looked at less than. That's why we were always taken advantage of and abused, even in slavery times. So it's sometimes it kind of is up to you to break that mental curse, unfortunately. And I don't feel like everyone, every black woman, I would say, has that opportunity to be surrounded by people who can help them break that. You get what I'm saying?
I think that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I disagree. we're we're not we're not slaves anymore, Lisa. We've been freed for us in the Caribbean, been freed since 1840s.
Yes,
And the black people,
so.
hold on, Lisa,
Okay, good,
hold
good,
on.
good, good.
But and the black people in America were freed in 1860s. So that's over close to 200 years. When are we going to make a decision and say we're not in bondage anymore? we can embrace who we are. I mean, we're survivors. We're great people. We accomplished so much despite being slaves. Why do we want reminders that we were slaves? Okay, what's your point? I'm sorry.
No, you good. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is not everyone is able to break out of that mental chain. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I fucking hate you. I fucking
Wait
hate you.
a minute now.
I
We
fucking
just
hate you.
met.
I don't give a fuck. Because not everyone, I think it has to go back to, you kind of got to look at certain people's upbringing and their circumstances.
I hear you. I
Because
mean,
you're talking about, hang on,
mhm,
I feel like this, like in the beginning, you said we're not just talking about, you're talking about American, um, people in Panama, South America, the Caribbean.
mhm.
There's some people that live not as fortunate as other people in the US.
Okay.
So I feel like those people, it's just an example, y'all. Forgive me, but this is just an example. I'm trying to prove my point. Some people, because of the circumstances of what they're in and where they are in this world, that they can't break out of that mental thing. And I'm not just saying it don't happen to people in the US, because I do feel some people, no matter how you try and you try and you try and you try to break out of the foot on the neck of black people that this country have made, it makes it hard. I'm not saying I'm not saying that is for everybody in that situation. I'm not saying. But there are some that do right and they do try, and they just can't, they can't, because it's a systemic hold down on black people, black and brown people.
Mm. I do understand women. I remember what Burke Lover said that, or I think it was your guess, that there are some women we know here is very important for women. There are young women who went through alopecia or, God forbid, cancer, especially if you're a child and, you lose your hair. And I know, that would be devastating. I can definitely understand using wigs or even medical wigs, or there are other terms, I don't know, in that case, because yeah, here is someone's self-esteem, and even if it's 2C or 4C, you can get other people's hair to put on your head. But
Why you gotta
Lisa,
say it like that?
well, I mean, they have 4C wigs,
No,
don't they?
no, no. I don't know. The way you said that other people is here to put on your head.
Well,
Go
that's
ahead. I'm
what
just
they
messing.
are
I'm
doing.
just messing with you.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm just saying, I do understand that, but I don't think that's the case. I think it has gone to a whole nother level. It's like a cult. How people are black women worship these weaves, man. And it's a very sensitive subject. I don't even like to get into it, but it's definitely have to
No,
mention it.
I get what you say. I really get where you're coming from. What I
Mhm.
don't like is you kind of almost making it
Judgmental.
right. It's a judgmental thing that is just like,
Yeah. People judge, Lisa. We all
because
have
I get
opinions.
what you're saying, and like I said in that episode, when I do look on television and I love reality TV because I don't have no drama in my life, so I gotta watch it somewhere, and I love watching it on the TV because I can shut it off. But anyways, people don't look like me, and I have locks, and I don't wear wigs anymore.
Mhm.
And I have embraced my hair doing its own thing. It is what it is. Um, so when I look on that, I see, and it's black women, and they have like all these 40-inch bust downs and they look so good. And sometimes, here goes what I was saying with that mental thing. I think and I'm like, damn, that wig look good, you know. That hair looks so good. And I was like, well, I wonder if I could slap a wig over my hair. But I'm like, nope, don't do it. So it just goes back to what I say is sometimes it's either it could be two things. Two things could be true at the same time. It could
Okay.
just be what you like, and it could just be that mental kind of, I don't want to say a mental block, or that mental little box or that little hole that have you on there from when, oh, your mom them used to have the hot comb and straighten your hair when you were younger because, the nappy hair wasn't, quote unquote, the nappy hair wasn't a thing. Because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a thing. I remember it wasn't a thing when I was growing up. So I do think it just goes back on, like I said, if you're fortunate enough to be blessed with somebody who could break that mental, like, kind of barrier for you, or I don't want to say mental barrier, or that barrier with that's how society wants you to look, that's not how you should be. You should be you.
I disagree, but and I don't want to sound hurtful to the women that listen, and the men that love the
Why
women that.
say what you want to say, because I don't
Yeah.
think you should worry about being hurtful now, because you don't make me
Okay.
finish my drink. I'm about to need to go and make another one.
Okay. I just, to me, my preference, me. I'm not talking about other people, but me. I think women who wear wigs look like clowns. Uh, just to me, because it's like you really have a hair hat on your head. And don't get me started on makeup. That's a whole nother episode and topic, but I digress. But
So
I don't
wait.
know. They look funny to
Yes.
me. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's
So
just
all
me.
right. Okay. So I need to make another drink because I know you got more topics.
Okay.
So we're
So
gonna
what
take
is
a
this,
little
like a
pause right
commercial
here.
break?
All right, y'all. We are back. I have never had to take a break during recording an episode, but it's really great conversation. So I had to take a break. I had to go make myself another cocktail. All right, Baba Moss. We did what? 3 points already or four?
We did 5.
Already?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's
Uh,
go with the next one. Moving on. We're going to
All
just pick
right.
up where we left off.
Yeah, take a sip of your wine. Yes, yeah, you're gonna need it. Okay,
And
you
you know
ready?
what this is? It's so ironic. This is the first time I've ever made this cocktail, which is
All right. The N word, nigger, and how it cripples black people when other ethnicities use it.
why you went
We,
quiet.
we lose our shit when people, other ethnicities, use the N word. Lose our everlasting mind. And my most recent example, because I know you're going to ask me, is the Minnesota woman that was filmed by, black people, I guess. I guess they were from Somalia or whatever. And I think it was really, to be honest, I think it was clout, because allegedly there was a kid that was rummaging through someone's property. The white woman got offended. She screamed at the kid, called the kid a nigger. The guy got him on, got the woman on tape saying that, yeah, I did call him a nigger. So, he's acting like a nigger. I'm going to call him a nigger. And like, yo, whatever. So, of course, the internet tried to make her famous, and she was doxxed, and threatened and all the usual stuff, right? But what's crazy, and I don't know if it's crazy because I have another case that's crazy and another topic, but I'll get to that. They raised over close to the goal was $1 million on the GoFundMe website, and they raised, I think the last time I checked, close to $700,000
For who? For her or the boy?
for the woman.
Who started the GoFundMe?
Support. I think she did. She wanted to protect her family. That was the
So what was the
GoFundMe.
purposes of the GoFundMe to protect my family?
Yeah, because she was getting threats because she called that kid a nigger.
So, I sometimes use the I sometimes use the N word,
Me too. It's
but
just a word.
I feel like I do get outraged when let me tell you, I mean you even gonna say I get outraged. Let me tell you something. And no white person calling me a nigga. I don't give a fuck. We can't be like you not calling me that word point blank on the period. I ready to fight. Okay? I don't care. So if we are in let me backtrack on that. Let me backtrack on that. Because I don't ready to go off the handle. Let me backtrack on that. If we have been friends for years and I know you're not racist, right? And if it's
Okay.
just among us and we just joking and cracking jokes and whatever, I let it slide. If you singing a song, I let it slide. You can't say, "Oh, you nigga bitch." I ain't no. But if you singing a song or we cracking a joke, whatever. If you mad and you upset and you let that N word drop, I bust in your ass. Point blank on the period. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think you just proved my point. What? What?
I know I did. Because when you said I was like, what? I do the same thing. There's no justifying that. I can't justify that. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't justify that. That woman. How old was the boy?
How old was the boy? Now there's a lot of discrepancies. Some say he was 5, some say that he was 10. We really
I heard
don't
he
know.
was a young boy. Like I don't even
Yeah,
think he was like a teenager. I heard he was a child. Let me tell you something.
but
The fact
according
that
to
you
X, there's two various ages. There's
You
10
don't
year
need to
old
bring me
and
no
5.
preferences from X, okay? Cause that's fucking Elon's Musk fucking platform. So you can't don't bring nothing from X. So all the research you've done, how old is this boy? Because this is one story I didn't really look up. I know when we had the
Like I
discussion,
said, there
you
was
brought it
two
up.
conflicting ages. Some are saying that he's 5. Some are saying that he's 10. Some are saying that he's autistic. Some are saying that he's not.
I think when you have brought it up to me and I kind of Googled it quick,
Hmm.
I saw I saw an autistic child come up.
Yes.
But if so, let's go with a scenario. If he is 10 and younger,
Hmm.
and I want to take autistic out of it. So if he's
Okay.
10 and younger,
Right.
and you as an older white woman, why
Hmm.
you gotta use the N word?
Because he was going through her stuff.
Why was he going through your stuff?
I have
And
no
what
idea.
stuff is stuff that he's
Like
going
his,
through?
according to the woman, she had a bag. She playing with her son at the park, and this kid was going through her stuff
Just in broad
without
daylight,
permission.
you're back there, you playing, and this boy just going through your bag.
Yes, exactly.
Did he take anything?
Because the woman stopped him and intervened.
Okay, so he's 10 years old. Let's just say we're gonna put the max 10. He's 10 years
Okay.
old.
Yes.
You're at the park. You see this 10-year-old going through your bag. Wouldn't you not ask him what are you looking for? Or, which, let me back it up. Because I will be like, let
What?
me back it up. Let me back it up. I kind of realize what he's saying. Why? Let me back it up. If it was me, I'd have been like, bro, what the fuck you doing? I go kind of,
Exactly. Yeah.
at first, I'm gonna kind of spaz out on him at first.
Of course you
But
are.
then I'm gonna realize he's a kid, and I'm like, what do you need? You do not know if this kid was looking for money for something. You don't know his home situation. You don't know if he's homeless. You don't know if he's hungry. You don't know any of this. So you instantly go to, he is, like you say, might be a YN, and look into her bags. So now you can just call him a nigga?
Well, what do you call people that you don't know who go through your bags and without your
He
permission
is
looking
a
for
kid.
stuff?
And what I'm saying is, I get it. At first, you might want to spaz out, but he is a kid.
But Lisa, are
Why
you
not
saying
in that
that?
situation? Now, if it was an adult or a teenager, that's a different story. But he is a kid. Why can't you? At first, you're always gonna react. Like I said before, you're gonna react with your emotions, whatever, and you kind of realize, oh damn, this is a little kid. Let me have a conversation with him.
Well, a
And
10-year.
then
Mm-hmm.
you call him a nigga, and then who was recording? Was it somebody random that was recording?
Yeah, it was a guy in the park
Okay, so
who
somebody
turned
randomly
out to be a
recording.
pedophile.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So the guy that was recording, he posted it on the internet. And of course, the white people said, well, let's look into your background, bruh. And they found out he was a pedophile, a convicted sex offender. Yes.
Okay, let's
But
talk
but
about one
Lisa,
because
I wanted to ask you, are
oh,
you saying a 10-year-old doesn't know not to go into people's stuff that's not
that's not what I'm
theirs?
saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's what it sounded like.
No, what I'm saying is a 10-year-old is, I'm so hungry. My mom don't have no food. What I'm gonna eat? I'm just gonna look through this bag. Is what I'm saying.
Mm, mm, mm,
That's
mm.
what I'm saying. I'm not saying a
Lisa,
10-year-old don't know wrong or right.
Lisa,
But what?
I can't believe you're justifying.
But I'm not justifying it. I'm more saying what if, because this situation I have not. I know you have mentioned it to me, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and look it up, but I didn't. So I'm not justifying. I'm just saying we don't know. We don't know.
Mm, okay.
And
Well, like I
you
said,
haven't brought me anything concrete to say X, Y, and Z.
you're
So we
right.
don't know.
You're
And
right.
that's what I'm going with. We don't
Hmm.
know, right?
Right. But like I said, when black people hear the word nigger from other ethnicities, and I'm talking about the hard R, we lose our shit.
I'm gonna give you that because yeah. Let me point blank up here. Nobody calling me a nigga. No.
Okay. Well,
But in her situation, the fact that why did you go to that for a 10-year-old boy? And my another question is, where's his, like, was he at the park by himself? Where are his parents? Because let me tell you something. Me and my child, let's just bring that out. Okay, let's bring my scenario out, right?
mm-hmm.
Take out that he was looking for, like he was homeless or hungry or whatever. If my child, just being my disobedient, horrible child, go dig through somebody's bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go off, I will understand. Like, oh my gosh, I get it. I'm so sorry. Like, I get it. And then you drop that N word. Because of that N word, I'm beating your ass. You cannot
Yeah,
fucking call my kid a nigga. Bitch, you crazy? And then you turn it around and go start a whole GoFundMe for what?
because people were threatening her. That's why. People were saying they were going to kill her. You know, the stereotype that black people are aggressive. Yeah,
But
they were doing that.
the same thing happened in the Metcalf and Carmelo situation, and both families started a fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah, sure. And you know how much money was donated to Carmelo Anthony?
Both of them had a lot of money that was donated to them.
Yeah, but one son was dead and one other was alive.
It
How
doesn't
does that
justify
work?
it doesn't justify that. Regardless of one son being dead or one son being alive,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't matter. Like, I don't understand how this woman started a whole GoFundMe for calling my kid a whole N word because she was receiving some death threats.
Yeah, that's the reason. And she needed to relocate. So her
So
people,
what
just
if
like Carmelo.
my son was receiving death threats because he's a nigga stealing a kid?
Well, if that's the case, they could start a GoFundMe too.
Oh my
Anyone
gosh.
could start a GoFundMe. I mean,
Which is
there's no
true.
law. There's
My
no
whole
law.
thing is she's wrong. She
She's
didn't
wrong for
need
what?
she didn't need to go to that extreme to call this. But I let me run that back. Let me run that back. Because I don't know why he did what he did. But in my head, if it was my scenario, he did it because he was looking for food or he was like homeless and his parents are not involved. There's a different way you could go about it. You know
I
what?
think
No.
that's I
You know
think
what?
that's called
I no.
nigger shit.
Let me take that back. Let me take that back. Let me
I'm
take
just
that back.
saying, Lisa.
Let me take that back. Regardless of the situation, regardless of his status, you see it, you react to it. Why was that the first thing you went to? Because I wouldn't.
Well, I have an answer to that, and this might get a little bit off topic, but
What?
we're going to get back. I think why we see more people of other ethnicities, particularly white people, comfortable saying that word or doing that, is because people are just tired of, you know, our behaviors, nigger stuff, stuff that we're talking about right now. And, some people call it like black people fatigue or whatever.
Some people
And
are
it's sad.
tired of black people fatigue. That's the dumbest
Yeah.
shit I ever heard
Well,
about
check it out.
this.
Check it out. Check it out. This is what black people fatigue look like. And I don't want to
Okay.
get personal. All right. When people choose to live in the hood or lower income neighborhoods, or when people have an opportunity to leave, they leave?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, there's a question.
I think both can be true.
Okay, well, what do you agree with first?
Um, ugh, I,
The
I,
point I'm trying to make is no one wants to live around ghetto people or people that we perceive as
which
niggers.
is true, right?
Okay,
So
so what are we talking about? People are tired. People are tired. And they're not holding back anymore. They're like, "Yo, we're going to use the word. We know you guys use it all the time, so it ain't no big deal." So I mean, you put it in your music, you put it in your movies, you say it to each other, and you don't seem to have a problem with it. But when I use it, oh, now I'm a racist or blah, 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 blah. And the gig is up because they know we use it. And it's just a word. It's just a word. But that's all I got on that. Thank you for proving my point.
I didn't prove your point.
Girl, you crashed out.
I did. I'm sorry. I did. That's like that. Yeah. But okay. So going back to you said what you said. You
We
just
should move
said
on, Lisa. We should
no, 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 no,
move
no,
on, Lisa.
no, 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 no. We're not moving on. No, we're not moving
Okay.
on.
Okay.
You
Okay.
said that. What the fuck you said? Move on. Go ahead. Next one.
Okay. Number 7. Black people promote black business, but they don't support black business. So, in other words, yeah, we got to buy black. And, we're supporting black entrepreneurs. But you see them, they know like 3 black designers and they're wearing Polo and Gucci that's made in China. And it's like, oh man, but of 5 black independent clothes makers and designers, but you won't support them. You'll continue to support the people that you hate.
I'll give you that
And
one because I agree with it.
all right, yeah, that's two.
I give you that one. I do feel like black people, we always say, oh, we wanna support black business, but we really don't. We tend, we like, oh yeah, we support you, but what I take can't stand is when we say we're gonna support, especially small black businesses,
Yep.
but then you go there and you ask for a discount.
Oh God, that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, but most I will give you that one. Move on to your next one.
Okay. Number 8, not confronting bad actors in our families. So this is
Wait,
a
what?
very okay. This is a very touchy subject for me
You already make me
because
like loosen up my ponytail.
okay, um I think that we don't confront. Okay, the easiest example that I use is, we have pedophiles in our family. We have people who do, criminal things that we know that aren't healthy. We have people in our family that, are involved in either vices or addictions and all that stuff, and we don't say anything to them. In fact, in some cases, the worst cases, we kind of enable that behavior and cover it up and keep it going. And I think that is definitely a problem that we see because, those create those generational curses that I think you mentioned in one of your segments or whatever. And if we don't confront people in our own family that are doing bad things, especially to our own family members, what are we doing?
I agree with you 1,000%.
Oh my God,
I
that's two
do.
in a row.
Huh?
That's 2 in a row.
I know it's two in a row. I agree with you 1,000%. I do feel like sometimes we do, because it's family, it goes back, it goes to, oh, that's my family, I get it back, right or die, right or wrong, that's my
Hmm.
family, bam, bam, bam. But when
Hmm.
your family is doing some fucked up shit, you need to call your family out on that fucked up shit that they be doing.
Exactly.
I agree with you on that. So
Okay,
we got
cool.
two. Okay,
All
I agree
right.
with you on
All right. This is my last one, and then I have some honorable mentions.
that.
Um, but
Okay.
my last one is, oh boy, criticizing racism at the same time being xenophobic. So
Okay,
we,
before you go into your example,
uh-huh.
what's what's xenophobic? I
Okay.
can't remember what's xenophobic.
Okay. So the easiest explanation is when you have some type of racial bias or some type of prejudice against people within your own ethnicity. So the easiest example is, we're all from the islands. Jamaicans don't like the Trinis don't like the Bajans, and vice versa. And in America, there are a couple of movements that want to delineate from other Black people, like American Descendants of Slaves (ADOS) and Foundational Black Americans. If you don't have family born in the South or somewhere in America, you can't be called a Black American. And it's like, what are you talking about? If I was born here, I'm an American. What? So that's what, we will criticize racism like, oh my goodness, racism sounds terrible. Yeah, colonization, slavery, blah, blah, blah. But then Americans will discriminate against West Indians, and West Indians would, discriminate against Africans, and Africans would, that type of thing. And I know we're leaving Africans out of it, but yeah, what do you think?
I've experienced it happen. I
Oh man.
remember um, it was a while back. I was in Pittsburgh, and this black guy told me I wasn't black because I was not born in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
my
wait a minute, you said you're from St. Croix?
born and raised. Yep.
That's
He
America. What are they talking about?
he said I was not American because I was not born in the U.S. and how you people from I don't know if you want to say I don't know if he said Africa or he said the Caribbean, but he said you people who aren't born here, you're
Mm-hmm.
not black. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what my response was?
What?
No. He said, let me back up. He said you're not black and you think you better than us and X, Y, and Z. And you know what my response was?
What?
I put a disclaimer. I am sorry. I don't mean to offend nobody, but I reacted out of my emotions in that time. I said
You crashed out.
on his black ass. So yeah, I crashed out on his ass. But I don't know.
He started it.
He did. He came for me. He said, "I'm gonna come for you too, bitch." I was ready to fight you. That was back in my days. I'm a lot calmer now.
Cool.
um, ugh, that's different. That's so. That's kind of like I don't know if I want to say it's a hard topic because me being born and raised in the Caribbean, I do feel like there are a lot of times where Black Americans don't consider us Americans or consider us Black because
Mm-hmm.
we weren't born here. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it has a little to do also as they don't know, I don't want to say they don't know what we deal with home because it was different growing up back home. Um, we don't see we don't experience racism to the caliber of what they have gone through because we're not predominantly white. We don't have a lot of white people around us per se.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, so that one, I don't know. I can't speak too much on it. I feel like it would more be of someone. I don't know who would be able to, but I know for me, I kind of wouldn't be able to speak on it. But I know that's how a lot of Black Americans do see me as um, I'm not black enough, or I'm not because I wasn't born here. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't.
And you know what's crazy about that? Not to cut you off, Lisa,
No, you
but
good.
if you look into how we all got here, the majority of slaves um, came from the West Indies or the Caribbean. Only like maybe 4%, I think the number is, of slaves in America came from Africa. The majority of them came from Barbados, um, Big Island, where they had slaves that were able to work hard. So little do they know, they could have Caribbean heritage anywhere.
Right. Wasn't the North more? Didn't they abolish their or I know the abolishment of slavery happened, but didn't the North did they
Yes.
not wait a little bit before they actually abolished it?
No, they didn't have slavery since like the early 1800s up north. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
So it was
why
down south. Okay.
it was down south. Yeah.
Okay. So my thinking is out the window. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because he was up north. I don't know. I don't know why he saw it like that. But he's like the only one that I have encountered that was racist to another black person. I've never encountered that.
Xenophobic. Xenophobic.
Xenophobic. Yeah,
Yes.
I have never encountered anyone that's xenophobic. But I think like it's like it's kind of opening up the way the culture is and everything's going. It's kind of opening up where that you call it xenophobe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
kind of dying down. It's minimalizing it.
I disagree with you again, and I'll tell you why. I do hear what you're
Do you
saying.
agree with anything I said on this
Yes,
episode?
we have two things that we agreed on.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, that's right too.
Okay.
Out of
Uh,
100, we got two. Winning.
all right. Yes. Um, I do hear what you're saying that because of multiculturalism, places where the Caribbean or the West Indian influence wasn't there, they're there now. And yes, that is good. But to answer your question, is it going to kill the xenophobia? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Because of those two organizations, the FBAs and the ADOSs, they are,
What
in
are
my
okay? What are
Mhm.
FBAs and ADOSs?
That's a great question. So FBA stands for Foundational Black American. These are Black people who have their heritage in the South or some part of America. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have ADOS, which is basically the same thing as FBA. They are American descendants of slaves.
Okay.
So, you have to be a slave from America. In the Caribbean, there is an organization called CARICOM, and it's the Caribbean descendants of slaves petitioning European countries for reparations because of slavery, which is another topic for another day. But to go back to what we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
these organizations, I think, are xenophobic and they promote xenophobia because they always want to delineate between who was born here or who has heritage from here and who doesn't have heritage from here. So, the cat's out the bag. I'm from Brooklyn, but my people are from the West Indies. I'm first generation on my father's side, and I'm second generation on my mother's side. So, according to the FBAs and the ADOSs, I am not a real American. Although I was born here and I am a U.S. citizen, I am not an American descendant of slaves. So, that's why I think it's going to be really a challenge to break that up.
Okay, I get what you're saying. When it comes, it kind of sounds like with those two organizations, I could see where maybe like older generations from the south is just never gonna change. But I guess I was being hopeful. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, with the younger people and how everything is kind of going, but
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying with the xenophobic when it comes to there are some older down south people that just would never and never look at blacks who are not born in the U.S. or have family that was born in the U.S. That's they're gonna be considered them because my whole family, like none of us was born, like my niece and nephew, but they, in the end of the day, are not gonna be considered that like a U.S. If from
Hmm.
their aspect, from that foundation aspect, because their parents are born outside the U.S. and their whole family are born outside the U.S. So
Yeah.
I get it. I understand where you're coming from that aspect, but I guess I was just kind of I don't know if I was
Being
being
optimistic.
hopeful. Yeah, I think I was just like kind of being hopeful because how everything is changing that maybe it's gonna come to a point where I I don't want to say it like this, but that all those, because it's older folks that think like that, right? They're gonna
Mm,
die off.
I hear you.
They're gonna die
Yeah,
off, and hopefully that thinking dies with them, and we
true.
can move on. But I
Hmm.
don't know, because you look back at just racism as a whole. You think of it as, it's been so long. You would think that racism would have died off, but it's actually transferred to another generation, and they carry it on.
Well, that kind of brings me to my honorable mentions that I know we're not going to have time. These are probably like talking points for another topic if you want to have me on again. I don't know. You might not have me on. I don't know. It might be
I
crazy.
love the I. You're definitely coming back on. I love the
Okay.
conversation. I think this was very candid.
Okay.
It didn't get too heated, even though it kind of pissed me off. But no, you didn't. I'm just kidding. You didn't piss me off. I don't think it got too heated. I do would like other people to chime in. Um, but
Hmm.
let's go to another. Like, how did that tie into your honorable mention?
Okay. And the reason why, not saying that these shouldn't be on the list, but it's just so many layers to these that we probably have to get a panel and break this down and scream and shout about it because it gets deep. Okay. All right. So, number one, the first honorable mention is Black people cannot be racist. The belief that Black people cannot be racist. I
Is it
disagree with that.
racism or prejudice? There's a difference.
Racist. I know.
Racist.
Yes. Yes. The
Okay.
second honorable mention is per capita. Per capita. I think that Black people, we have a difficult time understanding what per capita is and how it relates to describing us as a community. And number three is the fear or belief of white supremacy. And number four is the feeling of being a victim or victimization, mainly due to white supremacy or some other boogeyman. I just think that we have to really confront each other within our own community. We cannot tolerate another generation of these stereotypes, like you mentioned, that we had that was placed on us from before we were born. I mean, I would agree with you. These stereotypes have been around forever, forever, and every generation just galvanizes the stereotype. And because of that, that's why I think no one takes us seriously as an ethnicity and as a people. And the reason why people don't take us seriously because I think we don't take each other seriously. Like I said, all the points, they indicate a system of behavior that is a detriment to our community. That's all I got, Lisa. But thanks for having me. This was
Of,
great. I didn't
of
feel
course.
attacked. I felt very comfortable. This is a safe place.
It is a safe place. I am glad you felt like that, because I actually want to bring you back on to talk about your honorable mention. Um, I want to kind of get some more people involved. There are
Okay.
a couple of people I have in my head that I think this conversation would be very good for them. So I really want them to be involved. So we're definitely going to bring you back.
Oh,
So my closing thoughts are this conversation I was very nervous about bringing, honestly, to the pod. Even though I've always wanted to not put the podcast in a box, but in the back of my head, I kind of just wanted to not step on too many toes in the process. But fuck your toes. you're gonna have to like tuck them in. I don't know what you're gonna do with them, because we definitely gonna go with this. Um, so, like you said, with the stereotype that I said earlier, I do hope at some point we can break free from the stereotype that has been placed upon us. But at the same time, I don't want us to not react in certain situations because you have to kind of be like, oh, I'm black, oh, this stereotype. No, I feel like we are entitled to show our own emotions and show how we feel on a particular issue that is happening. There is a right way to do it and there is a wrong way to do it. But at the end of the day, we are humans and we are entitled to show what we got to show. Point blank and a period. Um, there are topics that we discussed that I understood where you were coming from. I did not agree with where you were coming from, but I understood it. And I'm hoping that this conversation kind of, might resonate in somebody that they would either consider, I don't know if I should say consider how they think or look at certain situations, but just go ahead and do your research. Do your research and come up with your own perspective or thinking of the situation. I have my own opinion. Baba Most have his own opinion. We might not agree with each other, but at the end of the day, we still respect each other, and that's just the bottom line. And we're just trying to have a conversation so that we can all just grow from this conversation. Because, like I said, there's certain things you said, that I could see where you're coming from, and I could see it that way as well too. So yeah, this is a Cultivate Your Life podcast. If you like what you hear, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share so you do not miss an episode. Well, we are gonna bring him back with his honorable mentions. So I know y'all gonna call me and let me know your input, but I would love it 100% if you would just say you want to be on the next episode that I do bring him back on, which I will be bringing him back on. So this is Cultivate Your Life podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Bye.